Welcome to day 3 of the MVDSA 12 Days of Christmas Stories. You want to listen to a story?
Yeah.
Great. We're going to read you 2 stories today. The first story is The Three Kings by Henry Woodworth Longfellow. Okay, here we go. 3 kings came riding from far away, Melchior and Gaspar and Balthazar. 3 wise men out of the east they were. And they traveled by night, and they slept by day. For their guide was a beautiful, wonderful star. The star was so beautiful, large, and clear that all the other stars of the sky became white mist in the atmosphere. And by this they knew that the coming was near of the prince foretold in the prophecy. 3 caskets they bore on their saddle bows, 3 caskets of gold with golden keys. Their robes were of crimson silk, with rows of bells, and pomegranates, and furbelows, their turbans like blossoming almond trees. And so the 3 kings rode into the west. Through the dusk of the night, over hill and dell, all sometimes they nodded with beard on breath, and sometimes talked as they paused to rest, with the people they met at some wayside well. Of the child that is born, said Balthazar. Good people, I pray you, tell us the news, for we in the east have seen his star, and have ridden fast and have ridden far, to find and worship the King of the Jews. And the people answered, You ask in vain? We know of no king but Herod the Great. They thought the wise men were men of insane, as they spurred their horses across the plain, like riders in haste who cannot wait. And when they came to Jerusalem, Herod the Great, who had heard this thing, sent for the wise men and questioned them, and said, Go down unto Bethlehem, and bring me tidings of this new king. So they rode away, and the star stood still, the only one in the gray of morn. Yes, it stopped. It stood still of its own free will. Right over Bethlehem, on a hill, the city of David, where Christ was born, and the 3 kings rode through the gate and the guard, through the silent street, till their horses turned and neighed as they entered the great inn yard. But the windows were closed and the doors were barred, and only a light in the stable burned. And cradled there in the scented hay, in the air made sweet by the breath of kine, the little child in the manger lay, the child that would be king one day, of a kingdom not human but divine. His mother Mary of Nazareth sat watching beside his place of rest, watching the even flow of his breath. For the joy of life and the terror of death were mingled together in a rest. They laid their offerings at his feet. The gold was their tribute to the king. The frankincense with the odor sweet was for the priest, and the paraclet, the myrrh for the body's burying. And the mother wondered and bowed her head and sat as still as a statue of stone. Her heart was troubled yet comforted, remembering what the angel had said of an endless reign and of David's throne. Then the king rode out of a city gate with the clatter of Herod the Great, for they knew his malice and feared his hate, and returned their homes by another way. The end.
And I'll be reading The Legend Christmas Tree by Lucy Wheelock. 2 little children were sitting by the fire one cold winter's night. All at once they heard a timid knock at the door, and one ran to open it. There, outside in the cold and the darkness, stood a child with no shoes upon his feet, and clad in thin, ragged garments. He was shivering with cold, and he asked to come in and warm himself. Yes, come, cried the children. You shall have one place by the fire. Come in. They drew the little stranger to their warm seat, and shared their supper with him, and gave him their bed, while they slept on a hard bench. In the night they were awakened by strains of sweet music, and looking out they saw a band of children in shining garments approaching the house. They were playing on golden harps, and the air was full of melody. Suddenly, the stranger child stood before them, no longer cold and ragged, but clad in silvery light. His soft voice said, "I was cold, and you took me in. I was hungry, and you fed me. I was tired, and you gave me your bed. I am the Christ child, wandering through the world to bring peace and happiness to all good children. As you have given to me, so may this tree every year give rich fruit to you." So saying, he broke a branch from the fir tree that grew near the door, and he planted it in the ground and disappeared. But the branch grew into a great tree, and every year it bore wonderful golden fruit for the kind children. And this was the Legend Christmas Tree by Lucy Wheelock.
Well, I think that's it. We had a great time reading to you today, and we want to thank you from our family to yours. We want to thank you for joining us. We want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's. Bye.
Bye.